The fourth day of the week is named after a Norse god, Thursday. Thursday. A billion people say this every single week without even realizing it. But here is what bothers me. The Quran already explained what Thor really was 1400 years ago. Not as God, but something very rare. I will show you an Arabic word. Stay with me to the end of this video.
The Vikings prayed to him for 1,000 years. They carved his hammer into their doorposts. They swore oaths on his name. They named the fourth day of the week after him, and that name is still in your mouth every time you say it. And the Quran, revealed 600 years before the Viking Age reached its peak, already knew exactly what Thor was. It just didn't call him a god. Hit like and say Subhanallah before Shaitan distracts you. Thunder rolled across the Norse sky, and an entire civilization flinched, then prayed. Not to nothing, not to an idea, to something that answered, something that roared back, something that split the clouds and sent fire down through the dark. For centuries, the response came, consistent, terrifying, undeniable. And then the prophets arrived, and the sky went silent. Here is what the scholars document, and what no mythology channel will say out loud. The Norse did not invent Thor in a campfire story. They experienced something first, and then they built a name around the experience. Real people, real fear, real response from the unseen world. The Quran records, in a chapter named after them, that a group of jinn ascended toward the heavens and listened. They gathered what they heard and brought it down to the people below them. Those people built religions around what was delivered. And the jinn, the ones doing the delivering, they have always known what power looks like to a human being. Thunder, lightning, the sky splitting open. The performance never changed, only the audience did. In Surah Al-Jinn, verse 9, they confess it themselves. Not in theory, not in scholarly interpretation. The jinn speak, and their words are preserved, word for word, in the Quran. We used to sit in positions of the sky to listen, but whoever listens now finds a burning flame waiting for him. That is the moment the heavens were sealed. That is the moment the thunder stopped answering. And in that silence, in that exact historical gap where the divine signal cut out, the mythology was born. Not before it, after it, in the space where the truth used to be. The Norse account has the thunder. It preserved the experience perfectly. It lost the explanation. Every civilization that experienced the unsealed sky built a name for what it found there. The question is not whether they encountered something real. The question is what exactly they were actually meeting. Comment Subhanallah if you want to know what the Quran says it was. Before this is over, I am going to show you one thing. Not an argument, not a comparison, one specific Quranic verse and the single Arabic word inside it that describes with structural precision exactly what the Norse account of Thor is a record of. Not a metaphor, not a reinterpretation, a mechanism, a documented, classical scholarship-backed Quranic mechanism for how a being without a prophet begins worshiping the wrong thing in good faith because something real was there. That word, that mechanism, that is what this is about. Stay until the end. Somewhere in Scandinavia, approximately 1,200 years ago, a man stood outside his longhouse and watched the sky break open. He was not a primitive man. He was not a superstitious fool. He was a person who had experienced something since childhood that nothing in his world could explain, and that something responded every time with the same violent precision. Thunder always came from the same direction. Lightning always preceded the same smell. The storms that destroyed his neighbors' harvests stopped sometimes when the right offering was made. He had seen it. His father had seen it. His grandfather documented it in carved stone. So he prayed to Thor, to the red-bearded lord of storms who sat in Asgard and drove across the sky in his chariot and kept the chaos of the frost giants at bay. And here is the thing that no mythology channel will let itself say. Something heard him. Not Thor, but something. The question the Norse never had a prophet to answer for them was not whether something was there. That was never the question. The question the Quran answers with surgical precision is what was there and what it wanted in return for the performance.
Let's start with what you think you know. Thor, in the Norse Eddic tradition, preserved in the Prose Edda compiled by Snorri Sturluson in the 13th century from far older oral material, is the son of Odin, the All-Father. He is the protector of Asgard, the realm of the gods, and of Midgard, the world of humans. His domain is thunder. His weapon is Mjolnir, the hammer that only he can lift, that returns to his hand after every throw, that no force in the 9 realms can withstand. The Norse believed that when they heard thunder, Thor was fighting. When lightning split the sky, Mjolnir had landed. Thor is also, and this part matters, described in the Eddas as the enemy of the Jotnar, the frost giants, the forces of primal chaos that seek to undo the ordered world. He goes out to fight them. Every storm is a battle. Every thunderclap is a victory or a blow received. The Norse built an entire cosmology around one truth they couldn't fully see. There are ordered forces and chaotic forces operating in the unseen, and what you experience in the sky is the collision between them. Now, here is the structural gap the mythology cannot fill from within itself. Why does Thor fight the Jotnar? The Eddas give several stories, but no single originating reason. The conflict simply exists. It has always existed. The Prose Edda, for all its detail about the sequence of battles, the weapons involved, the outcomes, has nothing to say about who established the order the Jotnar are trying to destroy, or why the destruction was attempted in the first place. The account has the war, it has the weapons, it has the sides. It lost the origin. And the origin, the specific documented origin, is exactly where the Quranic account begins. Surah Al-Jinn, chapter 72 of the Quran. It opens with a confession. Not a human confession, a confession from a group of jinn who had just heard the Quran being recited and were shattered by what they heard. They returned to their own people and they told them what had been happening. Listen to what they said they had been doing before the Quran arrived. And we used to sit in positions of the sky to listen, but whoever listens now finds a burning flame waiting for him. Surah Al-Jinn, chapter 72, verse 9. Sitting in positions of the sky, listening. Ibn Kathir, in his commentary on this verse in Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya, documents the classical scholarly understanding of this passage. Jinn would ascend toward the lower heavens and eavesdrop on angelic transmissions, fragments of divine decree, announcements of what would occur, the ongoing administration of the created world. They would gather what they heard and descend with it.
And what would they do with it? Ibn Kathir is precise. They delivered it to the humans below them who had established relationships with them, the soothsayers, the oracles, the priests of every ancient pantheon. The information was real enough, fragments of divine transmission, but distorted, mixed with fabrications, delivered with enough truth to be believed and enough error to corrupt. Now, go back to the Norse account. Odin sends 2 ravens, Hugin and Munin, thought and memory, across the 9 realms every morning. They fly out, they observe everything that happens in the world of men and gods and giants, and return to Odin's shoulders and whisper what they have seen. The Norse account is describing a need, a being who requires agents to gather information from the world because he cannot know it directly. The Quran describes a mechanism, jinn ascending to gather information, that explains exactly why such an arrangement would feel to a human observer like divine intelligence operating through aerial messengers. Odin's ravens are not a metaphor, they are a memory, a civilizational memory of the beings that used to ascend, gather, and descend, and the powerful entity that directed them. Except the Norse account lost one detail. Odin is wise because he sacrificed for wisdom. He hung from Yggdrasil, the world tree, for 9 days. He gave his eye to the well of Mimir. He earned his knowledge through suffering. The Quran says something different about the one who knows. Al-Kabir, the all-aware. Al-Alim, the all-knowing. No ravens needed, no sacrifice for information, no eye given for wisdom. Because genuine omniscience needs no intelligence network. The being the Norse encountered, the one who seemed to gather intelligence through aerial agents, was not omniscient. It was powerful. Those are not the same thing. A being powerful enough to manipulate the sky is still a created being, and created beings, no matter how vast their power, still have to gather what they do not inherently know. The Norse experienced the intelligence network and called it wisdom. The Quran explains the difference between a being that gathers knowledge and the one who is knowledge. And between those two descriptions, the entire architecture of what the Norse were worshipping becomes visible. Hold on, because Ibn Kathir documents something else about the jinn who sought to be worshipped, and it is the detail that the mythology never recovered.
There is a generation in every civilization where this happens. The prophet comes, or the prophet's message arrives, brought by a traveler, preserved in a fragmentary text, half remembered by a scholar who had heard it from someone who had seen the written account. The message is, there is one God. He is not the thunder. He is not the sea. He is not the thing in the sky that answers when you call. He made all of those things. And those things, the ones that have been accepting your worship, they knew the entire time that they were not what you thought they were. And then the prophet's generation passes. The message fragments. What remains is the experience. The thunder still comes. The lightning still splits the sky. The storms still respond sometimes to the right offering. The experience outlives the explanation. And in the generation after the explanation is lost, a name gets attached to the experience. Not a lie, not a deliberate fabrication, a name. Because human beings cannot tolerate a nameless force. They need to know what they are dealing with. Thor, Zeus, Indra, Baal. Every thunder god in every ancient pantheon is a civilization's answer to the same question. What is the thing in the sky that responds to us? And the Quran, not as a response to those answers,
but as the source those answers were copies of, gives the only account that explains the mechanism behind the experience. It is not the god of thunder. It is a created being of immense power, operating in the unseen, performing in the sky, accepting worship it was never owed, and doing it, the Quran specifies, in exchange for something. Surah Saba, verse 41. The day of judgment arrives. The false gods are assembled, and the Quran records what the beings that were worshipped say on that day. Exalted are you. You are our protector, not them. Rather, they used to worship the jinn. Most of them were believers in them. Not we deceived them, not we tricked them. They worshipped us. The distinction is precise. The jinn did not pretend to be gods in the sense of outright theatrical deception. They performed. They accepted the prayers. They occasionally responded, because a powerful being with access to the lower heavens and the ability to manipulate atmospheric phenomena can, in fact, produce responses that look, to a human being without prophetic guidance, exactly like divine action. The performance was real. The thing being worshipped was real. The relationship was real. What was absent was a prophet to identify what the thing actually was. And in every civilization where that identification never arrived or arrived and was lost, what remained was the worship, stripped of the warning. Here is what classical Islamic scholarship documents about how this worked and why it produced thunder gods on 3 separate continents. Ibn Kathir, in his tafsir of Surah Al-Jinn and his broader work in Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya, establishes the following sequence. Every nation received a messenger. This is the Quranic position, stated explicitly in Surah Fatir, verse 24. There is no nation but that one warner has passed among them. Every civilization, without exception. Which means the Norse had a prophet, the Greeks had a prophet, the Vedic Indians had a prophet, the Mesopotamians had a prophet. Not Thor, not Zeus, not Indra. A human being carrying divine revelation who told his people, the thunder is not a god. The lightning is not a weapon wielded by a divine being. The sky is not a battlefield between gods and giants. There is one God who made all of this.
Now, read the Norse fragments again through what the Quran has established. The Prose Edda describes a war where chaos, represented by the frost giants and the world serpent, attempts to overwhelm order. Thor is the protector who drives them back. The Quran establishes a structure that is identical in architecture, but opposite in identification. There is an ordered reality, and there is an entity that seeks to disorder it, Iblis, Satan. The deception is this. The thing in the sky that the Norse prayed to for protection was not fighting on the side of order. It was an instrument of chaos wearing the costume of order. The jinn who perform in the sky are part of the forces of Iblis. Every civilization that felt protected by the lightning was experiencing the oldest deception, internal corruption posing as a shield. Why these mythologies eventually stopped? It wasn't just because of conquest or modern science. The myths stopped because the sky went quiet. The Quran documents this shift in Surah Al-Jinn. And we, the jinn, reached toward the heaven, but found it filled with powerful guards and burning flames. Whoever listens now finds a burning flame waiting for him. The heavens were sealed
when the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, received the final revelation. The intelligence-gathering operation that allowed jinn to pose as thunder gods was shut down. The signal was cut. Thor did not die, he went silent. The Norse were left with their carvings and hammers, but the responses stopped because the performer had been locked out of the lower heavens. The specific Arabic word that describes the Norse account of Thor is zan. It is translated as assumption, conjecture, or what one thinks without certainty. Surah Al-Jinn states, "And they have no knowledge of it. They follow nothing but zan." And indeed, zan, in relation to the truth, avails nothing. The Norse experienced a real power in the unseen and assumed they knew what it was. They weren't lying, they were assuming based on a real encounter with a created being that accepted worship it was never owed.